saw 15,000 people interact with it over the course of 4 days. We had 4,000 teams, BGMI teams, that played on a tournament for just a minuscule prize pool of 4 lakh rupees.
क्या आप भी स्टार्टअप्स के बारे में जानना पसंद करते हैं या फिर आप अपनी स्टार्टअप के लिए फंडिंग चाहते हैं? Stay tuned for today's session. Hello folks, welcome to the series named Interaction with Investors, where we help people to learn from their very rich experiences. Today, we have a very special guest amongst us, whose name is Pearl Agarwal. She is the founder and managing director of Eximius Ventures, which is a micro VC fund. She is also an angel investor in a couple of startups like Mingout, Blu Smart Mobility, CrowdPad, and many others from sectors like Web3, gaming, FinTech, and many more. She had studied from the University of Texas at Austin, the Red McCombs School of Business, and had earlier worked in companies like Merrill, Lynch, and Global Infrastructure Partners. Thank you so much, Pearl, for accepting our invitation and coming up to the show.
Thank you, Mother. Pleasure is all mine.
Before we proceed, you like and share this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe the channel for more such videos. Let's deep dive into your journey. Can you tell about your company Eximius Ventures and how is it different from other venture capital firms?
Sure. Before that, let me tell you a little bit more about myself and why we really started Eximius. So I come from a tier 4 town in Orissa, where growing up, my parents had small businesses that I would help out with. And they had a community. So on a street, we had multiple stores that had different businesses that they were operating. And on that street, in fact, the entire set of business owners were operating like a community where they would help each other out and they would ensure that they were growing together. It was a very serene feeling being part of that. But at the same time, I knew that these entrepreneurs did not have all the resources that were available. And if they did, the zeal and passion that they had could take them way further than where they would. And this experience, as well as the want to really do something for entrepreneurs, sort of started from there itself, right? And it stayed with me. But I had to first ensure that I had enough experiences and I had collected rich thought process to be able to help them out, which took me to the US. In 2010, I went to University of Texas, McCombs School of Business, where I got into investments and really understood that how investors were looking at businesses and what sort of resources they were bringing on to help some of these businesses grow from this. So we were investing in other VC funds as a part of private equity fund. I was also working on large transactions, large buyout transactions, and early stage transactions, where we would work very closely with entrepreneurs and founders to help grow their business and generate more value add than what was being generated. So this sort of brought, both of my passion together, right? My passion of really helping entrepreneurs and that experience that I had seen as a young adult, and the passion of investing and being able to add value to entrepreneurs from 1,000-degree or 1,000-feet view. So when I moved back to India in 2020, the primary objective of setting up an institution that could do that, we knew that we wanted to take a community-led approach because we had seen how important it was for the community of entrepreneurs to start helping each other out. And I think this is where Eximius is unique from other VC funds, because we truly believe that founder-to-founder interaction and founder-to-founder community is very important for a founder when they are in the -1-1 journey, to be able to understand how to hire and build the best team that they can, to be able to tap into resources and experience of entrepreneurs that have built in the past. And hence, at Eximius, we not only create a community of our portfolio founders, but we also work through events. You might have come across some of our events around gaming, Web3, done some for FinTech. Through events, we want to bring together a community of entrepreneurs outside of our portfolio companies as well to help each other out. From that, we believe that we truly want to be founder friendly, where we want to put them ahead of what is typically required of VCs from the perspective of MIS and other documents that they ask for, and work solely on what they want.
Your journey has been really very inspirational, coming from a small town, then getting into investment space and learning through experience, and then starting one's own VC firm to help the entrepreneurs to build something really great and to support them at all levels, from the financial to advisory and like all the different facets of investment.
Thank you, Mother. Very kind.
What are your thoughts about upcoming sectors like Web3, gaming, etc.?
We are quite bullish about these sectors. Let's take a step back. If you really sort of talk to young individuals, you'll see that young individuals are wanting to have more autonomy. So most of the Gen Zs as well as the alpha generation that is coming up has been born with internet, right? Unlike some of the millennials and Gen X that got internet over the course of their time, which has made us realize that the way they interact with their virtual identity is very important to them. The virtual world in itself is something that they quite see as an extension of their physical identity, which means that segments such as Web3 and gaming just allow them to do that and express themselves better. So Web3 very much stands on the entire premise that today you should, if you do believe that a virtual world is an extension of a physical world, you should be able to control the data onto that virtual world just the way you do it for your physical world, right? So we believe that down the line, as we see more and more Gen Z coming into the ecosystem, it's inevitable that Web3 will become the default protocol. But before that happens, today a lot of changes and a lot of developments at the infrastructure level needs to happen at Web3. One of the biggest concerns is how do we bring more and more Web2 users onto Web3? How do we increase liquidity? How do we ensure that we're able to track a user's behavior and target them better as per their preferences? Which is very common in Web2 but doesn't happen in Web3. And similarly, if we take that by extension, gaming as well is very much reliant on you being able to interact in the virtual world with your friends, with your peers, and do it for entertainment as well as for learning, right? While people attach gaming with only the likes of PUBG and some of these AAA games, I believe that even education is going to have a huge gamified version moving forward because people want to be entertained while learning. That is what increases retention. And Web3, in fact, will allow segments like gaming to become more decentralized, where users can take more control of their who they are in a particular game, the assets that they own in that particular game, and have spent a lot of time and effort creating those assets to be brought on with them and be able to monetize it. So for us, we in fact see Web3 and gaming as something that's going to grow parallelly with each other. Gaming will be existent in the Web2 world as well. But along with that, with Web3 entering, a lot of the time and effort that is currently being spent on gaming platforms will become the assets of the users, and we'll start to see more and more of intersection of the two happening going forward is what we believe. So we are actually very excited about both of these segments and continuously follow what is happening there.
Yeah, it's a really very nice perspective about gaming and Web3 that you shared. Also, like we recently saw that how big VC companies like A16Z, Sequoia, and others are starting their own separate Web3 or gaming funds and pouring billions of amount into this sector, funding various startups. And even in our college and young generation, around 60-70 students are like to play games and are really inspired by the play to earn concept, tokenization, multiplayer games, and many more. So it seems these fields have really a very good potential coming forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how one can develop a good understanding of a particular sector, like for example, FinTech, Web3, or any sector in general?
I would recommend young professionals who are getting into these different segments to, of course, first start with secondary research that is available. Today we are in the era of internet where anything and everything that we want to learn is in fact available online. So for someone who is an absolute beginner, you would want to start from there, consume content in terms of what are professionals saying, what are the reports that are being generated. But I would say that that is only 10% of what you would really want to understand. The remaining 90%, after you've consumed that, has to come from professionals who are out there building and evaluating these models all the time, because they know what is going to happen in the future, whereas reports publish what has happened in the past. So once you know what has happened in the past, you can start asking the right questions to professionals on what can happen in the future and gather insights. So it'll have to be a combination of reading and consuming a lot of content, but using that content analytically to really develop a view on where some of these segments might be heading, both from user perspective as well as from business perspective. What is it that users are building, and what is it that users are wanting, and what is it that businesses are building as well.
Yeah, that's a really nice method that you share to develop one's understanding. So one can basically go through different blogs, reports, and other parts, which acts as a lagging indicator, as well as they can use the leading indicator, like while interacting with entrepreneurs and thinking more about the sector in like what comes next or what are the main pain points present in the ecosystem. And in that way, they can develop good understanding.
Mhm.
So can you tell about the Gaming Launch 2021 event that Eximius Ventures had conducted?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That event is very close to my heart, right? Because I love the gaming segment. I believe that Indian gamers are quite sophisticated and have become very active in the last few years. And they require games that are built in India by some of the best developers that are out there. And for us, the gaming lounge was a way to actually promote the ecosystem for the ecosystem. So, create something where content, capital, as well as community of gamers can come together to propel this ecosystem further. Why? Because before we did this event, we spoke to over 200 or 300 studios in India. And what we realized is that while the gaming community or gaming users have become quite sophisticated and have moved forward by playing all the international titles that are out there, game development studios in India were still short of capital and needed support, both from talent and capital perspective, to really match the caliber of global studios. So for us, this was a little initiative that we wanted to put together to educate folks out there that gaming is a huge segment, a lot of developments happening, and capital should start pouring in, and talent should start. You are a young individual. I'm pretty sure you have a lot of friends out there who are exploring careers. There is a career that has to be made in gaming, and it is going to be a very lucrative career. If you see development studios in the US, they hire some of the best engineers, they hire some of the best designers and animation artists to come in and work for them, to really create the kind of games that we see, and the environments that we see, right? And young individuals in India also have to upskill themselves to be able to make a career in such a lucrative segment. And we wanted to educate or spread that awareness through it. So we did it in 2021, but we aim to continue to do this every year so that the reminder stays that this is an upcoming industry and there is a lot that is happening. So 2021 was a fantastic success for us, for it being our first event. We saw 15,000 people interact with it over the course of 4 days. We had 4,000 teams, BGMI teams, that played on a tournament for just a minuscule prize pool of 4 lakh rupees, which tells that people are so interested to want to come and play that they don't really care about the prize pool as much. And we had 40 speakers from all across the world, from the likes of Galaxy Interactive, Bitcraft, Play Ventures, B Games, Crafton, etc., come in and speak on the forum. Through which I believe that we've already begun that conversation that we would want to continue this year as well.
Yeah, it's a really nice initiative that you started in order to support the gaming ecosystem, both in terms of capital as well as in terms of the awareness, which is much needed currently. Even I often told my friends that instead of going in just into the coding companies, as they are highly interested in gaming and related space, they should start looking for a lucrative career options present in gaming, blockchain, and related fields, which has really very nice future potential coming forward.
Yeah. No, absolutely. For all your audience who are young professionals looking to build a career, I would say gaming is going to be huge. So start thinking in that direction. And it is fun because gaming companies want you to play games to build games.
Yeah, it has dual advantages. Like they can love what they doing, like through playing games, as well as they can even get a very good career options, like lucrative job and other uh, facilities together in a single job.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I totally agree with you there.
So, what are some of the most common mistakes an entrepreneur does while pitching to a VC?
Hmm. I would say that for me personally, it is definitely overselling. That is the only mistake that an entrepreneur, in my view, can make. Because other things, as long as you know your business, you can more or less cover it. And if you don't know something, you can go and figure it out if you're passionate. But when you're overselling your business, you automatically raise our guards that there is something that the entrepreneur might be hiding that we need to go out and dig, right? Or if I'm asking an entrepreneur a straight question that what is your metric, and the entrepreneur tells me that the metric is very good, better than any competitor, then I'm not really getting a straight answer to my question that what is the metric. So I would always recommend entrepreneurs out there that be genuine about where your business is. Show that genuine passion and willingness to take it further with you and not give it up, no matter what happens. And then let the business and the numbers speak for itself. If your selling is very important, you want to highlight the good and the positive aspects of your business. But overselling definitely deters the investors away for two reasons. One, it creates a little bit of distrust, and two, it makes them want to dig in further and identify not just what is right with the business, but what might not be right with the business.
Yeah, it's a very helpful advice that you shared. So, like a lot of entrepreneurs often get into the trap of like selling themselves, since they heard that selling is a very crucial thing. But while doing that, they oversell themselves, which eventually backfires. And being honest in a conversation always helps in every part of the business where.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Because ultimately, we know that you don't have answers to all the questions, right? But do you know what you don't have answers to? And are you willing to go out there and figure it out? I think that is very important.
So how do you perform due diligence for early stage startups where it's really very difficult to analyze them at such a nascent stage?
Hmm. So I would say that, see, due diligence will always be conducted on things that are available. So, depending on the stages that you are looking at, you would conduct due diligence on the facts that are available. Because what is the whole purpose of due diligence? You would want to ensure that everything that is known about a particular company is identified in the due diligence process, and then anything that you don't know about the company or you can't identify today is the bet that you're taking will turn out right in future for this company to do well. So, if let's say that we are investing at a concept -1 stage, then we would want to conduct a lot of due diligence on the team and what they have achieved in the past for us to be able to build some conviction that this team has the ability to be able to create what they are saying they want to create, because that is really the only thing that is available currently which has happened in the past, right? Similarly, let's say outside of the team and all the team members, we would also want to look into the market. Who are the competitors in the market? What are the competitors do? Are there case studies of similar companies that might have done well, or case studies of similar companies that might not have done well? And why is that the case? So that helps us really understand that is this market lucrative? Is this market big enough? And is the team that we are backing strong to be able to build in this market? But let's say that you move forward to a seed stage or pre-seed stage where a product is ready. At that point, you would start to look into the product as well and do some due diligence around the tech, how the product thinking, design thinking has gone in. If it has been tested with beta users, then what is the response of those users? How does the traction look like? What does Google Analytics say about how the users are behaving on the platform? So, diligence is nothing but knowing everything associated with that business at that particular time so that you can critically think of what could the future look like.
Yeah, that's a really nice framework that you shared while doing due diligence at three fronts: a team, market, as well as on the product. It would be really helpful to a lot of the people while analyzing different sectors.
Mm-hmm.